Well, I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. You know, they're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. And, they've already de-escalated, and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil, and they won't be doing it anymore.
Mr. President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in Ukraine.
Who has?
First Lady Melania Trump
Yeah.
has been helping in returning abducted Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She just felt very strongly about the children, and she's done a really good job, I think, in bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000, and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
Mr. Trump, if you okay tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the tomahawks? Do we have enough?
That's a problem. We need tomahawks, and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, you know, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. You know, we need tomahawks, and we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say,
yeah, please.
Just to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have tomahawks. That's why we need tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production, and the United States has tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
And so just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade. If President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch
yes, it's about
Russia,
military goals. It's only about military goals.
Right, but then you would authorize some kind of an exchange where
yes, of course.
The US
yes, we have proposition. We have brief proposition with our drones.
President Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. You know, we knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So, you know, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, well, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth. They were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people. Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. I mean, mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
President Trump, can you give us an update on the trade negotiations with China, or perhaps Secretary Bessent?
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China would like to have something. As of this moment, we'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea.
You think
myself.
Will go forward?
I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because it was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing. But I put on very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. And then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back, and we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea a couple of weeks. And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, do you want to say a few words on that, please?
Yes, sir. So the entire relationship stems from the great respect that the two leaders have for each other. China did a substantial, unprovoked escalation last week. We were unable to get in touch with them. Since then, it's been IMF World Bank Week. They have had working level people here who there have been meetings. The Vice Premier, who is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I and a delegation will meet in Malaysia probably a week from tomorrow to prepare for the two presidents to meet. So I think that things have de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them. And I am confident that President Trump, because of his relationship with President Xi, will be able to get things back on a good course.
Is the hope for that meeting with you and President Xi some kind of trade deal then? Or
could be.
More
Look, I think we're in a very strong position. I think we're in a very strong position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted, a 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%. And China doesn't want that, and they want to talk, and we're talking. And I think we'll make a deal that will be good for both. I think we will do something. But you have to understand, we never got anything from China. It was a one-way street. For many years, for decades, it was a one-way street. And they became rich because of the United States. And frankly, presidents that, let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand what was happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in amazement at how stupid our country was, how stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore. And that includes with the European Union. That includes with Japan and South Korea. All we want to do is be treated fairly. But the fairly is hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars coming into the United States. And it's our national security is secure because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would have no national security. So it's very important.
Will you seek China's help in ending the war in Ukraine? Do you need them to put pressure on Russia?
I'll be discussing that, but I'd love to see it ended before that.
President
I mean, I think we have a chance of ending the war quickly if flexibility is shown on behalf. And again, we're not losing people. The United States is not. We're not losing people. We're not spending money. We're getting paid for the, ammunition and missiles and everything else that we're sending to the European Union, but to NATO. But it's very similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very similar. And we just made a very fair trade deal with the European Union, and what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. They pay for all of this. That's not what we're in this for. We're in it to save thousands of lives every week. Thousands and thousands of lives. That's why we're in it. And I think we have a very good chance of bringing this war to a conclusion.
Europe's president and your cabinet has done honestly an excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American leaders, to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts who often speak about conflict in abstract or strategic terms rather than the human cost and the human terms?
Look, my only statement is we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator president. And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other, when they get together, and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around. Maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance, and we're going to see if we can get it done. This is number 9, okay? This will be number 9 for me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East. I've solved 8. This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. We solved, President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, all of the different wars. He said it was amazing but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle, and I think we will be able to settle. Yeah, Brian.
On that note, you will go down as the peacemaker, no doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo. Talk about India and Pakistan. Look at Thailand. Look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman. Very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they have nothing to do with us. I saw almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan, and you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this, this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed, and I've saved millions and millions of lives, and I think we're going to have success with this war. Wait, please.
This, President Zelensky, this is your 3rd time over here. Oh. And by the way, you look excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For you, by the way. This is your 3rd time here. how different sitting across from the president is this time versus the two previous times here at the White House, and how confident are you hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit. The same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit. Yes. About our relations with President Trump, I think we have important dialogues, and I think we begin to understand each other. Yes, and I know that President is briefed very well about situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on the battlefield in Ukraine, and I think it really helps. When you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war, it helps a lot. But we are still in war, and I hope we can manage.
You are being clear
It's
that there are
important.
some countries that are not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that it's impossible.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
They cannot be expelled from NATO.
Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
President, I tell you that
Sort of interest. That's of interest.
Mr. President.
They're protected by. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And if
I do.
So, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear. They took that was an unbelievable military maneuver, the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen, and you know we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish. You had every country, Christian. You had every country, and many countries involved, and we got that done. And we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done. Yeah.
On Venezuela, there are survivors from your latest boat strike. What happens to those survivors?
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
And how are there survivors when these are meant to be lethal attacks?
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs, just so you understand. This was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines. And That was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine. Yeah.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table, the fact that it's kind of a carrot and a stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to. I think he wants to make a deal. That's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away actually. But they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal. But one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over. Okay?
Putin-Trump tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked it.
President Trump, do you think that Vladimir Putin, do you think that Putin, your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii, and she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, a Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii, right? You know who that is, right? She's another. She's another beauty.
President Trump, on Putin, your gut instinct.
Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am. But you know, I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible. Yeah, a little time.
Is your gut instinct
it's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal. Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev. So, you know, in war, you have a lot of luck, too. You know, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling and some brilliant general said, let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway, right? So they got a little bit lucky. But you know where they really got lucky? I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. You know, there's a statement. Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are a devastating weapon. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. You know, when the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats can give you credit? Do you think Democrats can give you credit when you finally end this war, like they did with the war in the Middle East? And
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take $1.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion. They want to destroy. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
Have you authorized CIA operations in Venezuela as part of?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world. I'll say that.
It's been reported, Mr. President, it has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do in order to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Let's go. Start moving. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Thanks, President Trump.
Press, keep going.
Good job.
Thank you, guys.
President, what